everybody.
Oh, we need some light in here, Natalie. Oh, look at that. Our stage lighting. Look at that. What's up, everyone? Blake and Nat here. Natalie, you're running the show today.
Oh.
I'm driving. I'm trying to keep us safe. You're running the show.
I just wanted to do a video because we said we were going to do more videos.
Well, yeah.
So we got to do a video today. September is NICU Awareness Month.
Ooh.
So I just kind of thought like it would be good to like tell our story about being in the NICU. We haven't really ever talked about it.
Yeah, it's
on here.
It's dude, like I have
honestly, I don't ever think we even talked about like anything along the lines of what happened at the end of the pregnancy.
Super tough. The NICU, like if you're watching this and you have a kid or babies or 2 babies or 3 babies or 1 baby or however many babies in the NICU, it's super, super tough. Natalie and I really showed how men and women react to situations differently, and how we, I don't want to say react, but like
how we dealt with it.
Yeah, in different situations where Natalie, because I know you want to say this, so I'm going to say it for myself, that I didn't like being in the NICU. I thought it was super hard to be in that situation. Oh, I got to get over for this guy.
Here, before we start like into the NICU, maybe we should start with like just the end. Like I know it was a while ago, but we never talked about it.
Alright, you hit it with the end.
We kind of have like this new like vibe on our channel. So.
Yeah, the new vibe.
Okay, so basically like honestly I don't remember much. I mean, I really don't. It was so long ago. Almost 9 months.
Okay.
The kids are almost 9 months old.
5 a.m.
Well,
on December 16th.
4:45.
4:45, Natalie's water breaks in bed.
Like I was sleeping, I mentally like felt something, I stood up and just gushed everywhere. And
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't ready for the baby. Like I wasn't mentally ready for the, like I didn't think they were ever gonna come.
We were planning on going to get a pedicure that day.
And it hit us with a train. And yes, Blake, I'm a man and I get pedicures. I love pedicures.
Blake was like, let's go get like pedicures, let's make your toes look nice before the babies come, let's go out to lunch, like let's just go and do
this guy's like eyeing my truck. That is creepy. Okay.
He was like, let's just like go and like
I said all this? Man, I'm a nice, I didn't know that. That's
you did.
Sweet.
We were gonna go to lunch and we were gonna go get pedicures that day.
Okay.
So what happened basically was like we were in the hospital for 7 days before the babies came. Just preterm labor, all that. The babies came. Well, okay. So the 16th, my water broke. We were at the house for probably an hour before we left because I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to put pants on because I was leaking everywhere. So I didn't want to leave. Finally, Blake was like, we have to go. Like, you can't have the babies at our house. So we get to the hospital. They check us in. That was a funny part of it. The nurse who checked us in, well, we had to go through the ER because labor and delivery was closed at that point. So we went through the ER. I was gushing all over their little wheelchair to the...
And it's flu season. Yeah. This was pre-corona.
Yeah.
But I don't like the flu, so like people are, and if you've ever been to
there was a snowstorm, it was snowing.
Yes. It
was snowing.
If you've ever been to the ER during flu season, but if you've ever been to the ER at night, it's a different kind of animal, dude. Like people are on the ground, drunk, on drugs, puking, and we went through that and then went up to labor and delivery.
The ER, So, Blake actually dropped me off because I forgot it was snowing. So Blake dropped me off at the front door. I went in to check in, and then he he was running to to inside because he had to park the car like a little bit away. It was icing and snowing. So they wheel us up to labor and delivery, and they like hand us off there. And the nurse who took us from there and labor and delivery was like, I don't know if your water broke, like we're gonna run a test and see if it broke. I was upset at this point because I was like, lady, I have been leaking.
You can't say anything to a woman that's pregnant, giving birth, or just had a baby. You don't say any of that. We just leaked all over this hospital, all over this wheelchair.
all over our bathroom.
And this girl's like, I don't know why you guys are here.
Yeah. I was so upset with her. I was like, are you serious? So she took the test and she ran it.
And I gotta say this other thing is one of my great customers that I've had for years was the main nurse on duty.
Oh, yeah.
And my parents' neighbor and another very good customer of ours is the head of nurses in that hospital. So like we've got connections in this hospital, and they were all there that morning, and they all came over. They all came in, like pushed this nurse to the side, and they're like, these babies are coming
because
today.
That was the other thing, we didn't even say that, is we had left the hospital Saturday night. They let us go on Saturday night at like 5 o'clock, I think. We were in the hospital all day. Yeah. And they kind of let it be our choice if we wanted to leave or not. They were like, you can leave, you can stay, like these babies are coming, but you might as well like go wait at home if you want.
Right.
So we chose to go home so that we didn't have to like be in the hospital anymore. So we left Saturday night. I think by the time we finally got discharged and home, it was about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sunday we had a Christmas at his mom's. I was having contractions literally every 30 seconds. Like,
I mean, dude, these kids were coming.
We knew they were coming.
Yeah.
And then we went to bed we watched a movie on Sunday night.
We had Olive Garden.
No, Olive Garden was we had smoking guns on that day. Olive Garden was the thing that put me in the hospital to begin with.
Okay.
But we watched a movie, we went to bed, and actually that was the only, I hadn't slept all like for the last few months of my pregnancy until that night, and I actually slept from like 9 o'clock to 4:45 that morning, which was super weird. Like I woke up to my water breaking at 4:45. So anyways, so most of the nurses when we got to the hospital were still on their rotation of their 3 days or whatever, so like they all knew who we were. We had been there for 7 days. Like they all knew what was going on except for this one nurse who made me mad. But anyways, so yeah, so babies, we get there, they're like, okay, head down. Everybody was head down when we had left the hospital on Saturday. Everybody was head down, so they were like, we're gonna start you on Pitocin, and we'll just kind of ride it out. They'll probably be here tonight or tomorrow, right? I think is what they said at first. Yeah,
at first it was like all like, oh, we don't really know what's going on, and then it went from that to a doctor coming in. They're like, we're getting these suckers out of here in an hour. I'm like, what?
Yep. So they came and we started. I had to have, so that was the other thing. So both babies were head down when we left the hospital on Saturday, but on Monday morning when we got back, they came up to do an ultrasound to make sure, and little Miss Brinley had flipped. And the doctor who we had in the hospital for the whole time that we were there said that she would do a vaginal birth and then flip the other baby if it was breached.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted, but the new doctor who ended up being our doctor on that day wouldn't do that, so I had to have a C-section.
And we loved the doctor that was supposed to do it.
Yeah, we loved the doctor that was supposed to do it.
She was the coolest lady.
Yeah, she was really cool.
But everything happens for a reason.
It was all fine. But so anyway, so like now kind of like here's like where the NICU stories, like like you make fun of me, but like it was not a traditional birth. Like the babies normally come and they like put them on mom, and like you get to have that like special moment that you've been waiting for. And our babies came, and within what, maybe 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, I mean, they were gone.
It was a show. I mean,
it was.
I've never seen.
Well,
and hey, we're thankful for it because everybody was there and everybody knew what they were doing, and the babies are perfect. Like, it was a lot going on.
Oh, I don't know. Like looking back, like it's just like I don't even know how.
There were like 20-something people in the room.
Which normally there's not, but with twins there has to be a doctor for each baby.
And it was in a surgery room.
Yeah, it was in the OR. There has to be a nurse for each baby. Then the NICU nurses had to be in there. And everybody for me. It was a lot of people in that tiny room.
Literally, I had a woman for me, like as emotional
Blake
support.
Had a nurse too.
Brought me in because they had to put her under.
They had to put my spinal. No, they had to put my spinal tap in, or not tap, spinal thing in.
Whatever that thing is.
And Blake couldn't be there, so I had to do that part by myself, which was really scary.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Well, A, I couldn't do it mentally, but B, they didn't let me. But I would have been there if they let me. But
I hugged a pillow instead.
So I was sitting in this little room outside of the operating room. Which was,
you said was probably the scariest part for you.
Yeah, because they have like the hand washing area, and I just see one person, 3 people, one person, just all going to wash. I mean, it was like, I was like, what are they doing in this place?
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people, because normally, like, they were prepping us, and they're like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be me and a nurse.
Yeah. And then
it went from that to, we're getting these babies out in an hour, and it's a show, dude.
And after the babies came, we ended up hearing that, like, they love twins. Like, they love watching twin births. So, like, whenever there's a twin birth, people just randomly go in to watch.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what happened. But anyways, so yeah, so Blake wasn't in there for, like, I would say a good 10 minutes. They had to do my spinal, and then they had to get me on the table and ready. And then they brought him in literally as they were about to cut.
I mean, it was literally like, this girl brought me in because she just showed me right where Natalie's head was, and there was a tarp, and then it was like, boom, bada, here's one baby, okay, here's another baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? And by the way, they look like aliens.
Yeah, it was, I'll never forget that moment of just like how, like, just, and like how fast it was. But so the worst part for me was, like, with the C-section, like, you still have pain, like, you can still feel the babies coming out and everything, and like there's still a ton of pain, but it's obviously bearable because you're numbed or whatever. The worst part for me was the itching. The anesthesiologist told me, he was like, some people itch with this, and literally within 2 minutes of this medicine going inside of me, I was just itching. I couldn't stop. Like, do you remember this?
I do.
Like, I could not stop itching. Literally until that night. Like, I itched the whole day and night, and I just was so itchy. There was nothing they could do.
I just thought of something else.
What?
The week before, they had to put in, what's it called, to help the baby's brain?
Magnesium.
They had to put in magnesium through Natalie, because they're like, these babies are coming.
That was the one time you yelled at them.
Dude, I'm a very chill person, but if something is affecting my family, like, I need it now. And I freak out. It's just like, I get an adrenaline boost, and I'm just like, I need this now. So, to protect the baby's brain, because they're like, these babies are not developed yet. They're not supposed to come yet, but they're coming. Like their
heads weren't developed enough for their brains. If I were to have a vaginal birth, it was to protect their brains, because their heads weren't fully developed.
They go, this nurse is like, yeah, you might get a little nauseous because we have to do a bolus, which is just a ton at once, and it's gonna it might affect you.
Oh, it affected
me. They do this, and Natalie starts, her face totally went pale. She starts throwing up like crazy, and this nurse is like, do you want, and you know, they're like real chill, do you want me to get you? I'm like, go get something now. I mean,
He yelled at this nurse, and she was, I mean, she came back and she was like totally fine with it. But
yeah, I mean, I was like, go get something right now, dude. She's puking. She's got 2 babies in here.
Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, it was bad. But anyway, so like the C-section thing, I just couldn't stop itching. But okay, so like from there, let's start there. So like they get the babies out. Normally they put the babies like on like your chest or whatever. If you're gonna breastfeed, they'll like attach them while they're finishing everything up. But our kids, obviously, like, we knew on that day that they were going to the NICU. Like, it was a given. The NICU nurses had come in.
How many weeks were they, just so
34. They were born at 34 weeks exactly, which they told me to go until 30. I was only gonna go till 36 weeks. That's normally when they take twins. So really, they were only 2 weeks earlier.
But it was like
But yeah, so
they
had told us though, like, so we were prepared for it. What we weren't prepared for was them being taken so quickly. I think, like, they kind of made it seem like they would get to like
you are totally not in control.
Yeah,
Like
from the second they're out, like you have no control over absolutely anything. So we had no control over the situation once these babies came. So they came out and they took them to the warmers. They weighed them. They did their measurements, and they actually did take Blake's phone and they took pictures of them, which we were thankful for that, because
they were creepy pictures because they were
really
all dirty and
looking weird.
Dude, I mean, it was scary when they came out because it was just freaky. I mean, I'm sure you got, like, if you've been through birth, you've been freaked out when they came out.
Yeah. Anyways, actually that was a really gross part, is when she did hold them up for us too, which was when she
dripped all over
when
you.
she pulled them out, she held them up over the thing so we could see them.
Yeah.
And Brindley dripped blood all over me. It was nasty. And it was my blood too, which is even nastier. Yeah. But anyway, so they took him to the warmers, they took their temperatures, they came and they let me, like, they held them right next to my head so that I could see them, but it was like 2 seconds and that was it.
And you didn't have glasses on.
I didn't even have my glasses on, no, so I couldn't see any, like I couldn't even see.
Yeah.
But they held them next to us.
And you didn't have contacts in, right?
I didn't have, I couldn't see. We got to take a family like I think that they held them up and you kind of leaned in and we like got to take like a picture or whatever. Yeah. And then they were gone. It was within a few minutes of them being out. And it's
like, where the heck are these babies? Like they just disappeared in this hospital.
Yeah, so for 9 months or 8.5 months, they're just inside of me. And then all of a sudden they're just gone. And like, you know, if you've had a baby or your wife has had a baby, like the second those babies come out, your just emotions just start going.
Yeah, it was.
But like, honestly, I wasn't sad at that point because I was so itchy that I literally couldn't be sad because I was just so focused on itching, which is really weird, but so anyways, so they finished the delivery of the placenta and all that nastiness, and then they stapled me up, and then we got rolled to the recovery room, which like typically, I mean, you go to the recovery room and your babies are there with, like your baby is there with you, and ours weren't, and like we were just chilling in this recovery room for what, 2 hours I think, is how long we had to be in there. And like they kept telling me to go to sleep, but I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, and we literally had to sit in this room.
Yeah,
pointlessly, and like I don't know. It was so hard, like, because we went how many hours without seeing these babies?
So that's what I was gonna talk about next. So the recovery room was 2 hours, and then they wheeled us in. Like they moved my bed into like the room that you go to after you recover, and they like. At this point, this is nasty, but like I was leaking, like milk was coming out, like they hooked me up to a pump immediately, and because normally like your baby attaches, but we didn't have the baby, so like they hooked me up to a pump, so we were doing that, and then they got me all like cleaned up and everything, and I think then finally our family got to come in and see us. But so this was at 10 o'clock in the morning when the babies came, 9:55 and 9:57. We didn't get to see the babies until I could move my legs, and get wheelchaired down there. We didn't see the babies until 8 o'clock that night.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock that night. So I went all day long without being able to see the babies. And it was the most just heartbreaking thing in the world. It really was. Like, looking back, I know it was for me, but for you, like, looking back, don't you think it was?
I mean, it's one of those things that the hospital takes control because they know your emotions will get in the way of the health and safety of you and the babies. Yeah. So that's what happened. The babies, they were just not ready to be in the world, so they couldn't like they couldn't just wheel the babies into your recovery room and be like, here, play with them or something, you know, like that. So it makes sense to me, but it's still like super hard.
Well, and like, so Brinley needed oxygen for the first 12 hours, right? Was it about 12 hours? I think it was less than 12.
Like a couple hours.
I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 actually.
Yeah.
It was overnight. So like at 8 o'clock when we had went in there, I think she had it, and by like 1 a.m. or whatever, it was already gone.
Yeah.
I think. Braxton did not have to have any oxygen. So like, that was good. I mean, and really like, we were very lucky in the NICU, like compared to some of those babies. Dude, like our babies,
back, all they needed was feeding tube
to gain weight and feeding tubes.
Yeah.
Really, and she needed oxygen for the first few hours, but after that, I mean, they were good. So finally got to see them that night, and then we were in the hospital until Thursday. This was on Monday. We got discharged on Thursday. And man, let me tell, like, leaving the hospital without your babies. Blake makes fun of me for this.
At the moment, I didn't understand, because I was in, like, it shows where, like, the difference between men and women. Like, a man is there to protect his family and, like, make sure everybody's safe and healthy. And so I'm like, Natalie, they need to be there. That's like, they have to be in the NICU. That's the thing. You need to go home and get rest. And then a woman,
there we go,
you know, is there to nurture and take care of her kids, and she wasn't able to do that.
Well, like, just leaving the hospital, like, I just remember just crying. Like, I do remember one night, so you were like taking a shower or something. I think it was like the second or third night that we were in the hospital. You were taking a shower or something, and I was sitting in bed, and the night nurse and day nurse were switching. So the night nurse had come in, and we hadn't had her yet. And she walked in, and I was just sobbing, like, uncontrollably. I had no clue why I was crying. And she came in, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, "Do you want me to get your husband?" And I was like,
dude,
he's in the shower. And I mean, it was like that pretty much for a couple of weeks. Like, really.
Here's the thing, man.
Your hormones are leaving your body after you have your baby, and then to take the babies away and not have them, like, it was just a double.
Like, dude, it's so crazy, because the man is just going through all of this, like, with you, like, it's all, but he just doesn't have any of the emotions, and it's just like, what is going on? Like, that's the time that I'm like, I just need my wife, the normal you.
Yeah.
And so, because I'm dealing with all this, I have to make sure the kids are okay and you're okay, and then now you're crying, so I have to, like, deal with so much, like, and people say, you know, like, you don't remember anything. Like, all of it just seems like a snapshot in the life. So it's kind of fun to talk about this, but. So
so for the were we there for 3 days, I think? Like, we were there from Monday morning at 6 a.m. to Thursday afternoon. So however long that is. But we had to walk to the baby's room. It's on the same floor as the labor and delivery, but it's like across the hospital.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So we had to walk over there. And like, Blake, when he gets tired, is very grumpy, so he takes his sleep very seriously. So like, he would go to sleep at nighttime, and I would walk over to where the babies were, and I would just sit in there with them at night. And Blake was always like, I don't understand why you're going to sit in there with them at night, like they're sleeping. And I was like, well, I don't. He was like, you should be sleeping.
That's my thing. I try to force sleep on Natalie, and she's like, I can't sleep.
Anyways, so yeah, that was, I don't know, but like, then, like, everybody in the NICU was great. The doctors were amazing. The nurses were amazing.
We love the nurses.
Everybody was amazing. There was one time, well, there was lots of times where I got very upset, but like, looking back, there was no reason to be upset, if that makes sense. But there was one time where I like actually like was really upset with the doctor, and it was when she told me that I was doing a non-nutritional feeding. It was the first time I was like breastfeeding the kids, because I was pumping and then they were putting the breast milk in
the feeding tube.
And so it was a few days in, and it was the first time that I was feeding, like actually feeding the babies, and she called it a non-nutritional feeding, and I flipped.
Because your emotions got in the way. Because they're saying that they got all the nutrients through the feeding tube. And yours was just like the cherry on top.
It was a practice. It was like a practice run, like to do that. But
So for a man to like try to explain that to his wife that just gave birth and is going through all this, it's impossible. You're not gonna explain. But to me, I'm like, oh yeah, non-nutritional, whatever. And to her, it's like the end of the world, which is just the dynamic in that situation.
And like the NICU is very hard because nobody knows when your kids are coming home. And so like everybody will tell you something different. So like the first day,
and they're not supposed to give their opinions, but we became such friends with the nurses
that they would just let us know their opinion. So like the first day, one of the nurses was like, oh, they're not on oxygen, they're not on, like their body temperature is fine, they should be home when you leave on Thursday. And so like of course me, like that got locked into my mind. And so then the next day when the doctor finally came in and was talking to us.
He's straightforward because like 4 doctors come in.
Yeah.
And they do like a morning.
They do rounds every morning.
Morning round. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, they're not coming home for a while.
Yeah. And a while's not a good word.
What was the word that they always used that made me so mad?
Something, but it was like something.
Someday. It was always someday.
Someday they'll be eating on their own.
Yes.
Someday they'll.
And that word made me so upset because like someday to me is like
a long time.
A long time away.
Like even with them being able to hold their own body temperature and letting the warmer thing come up, it's like someday they'll be able to. And it's like someday I've heard stories where kids are in the NICU for months and months and months. Like, what are you talking about? And it's the most draining thing ever.
So there were 3 things that they had to accomplish on their own. They had to keep their body temperature, and they know that by literally taking their temperature every 3 hours. If it's whatever, that counts as good. So that was one of them. But
eating on their own
and gaining weight. So they had to get back to birth weight, eat on their own, which means no feeding tube, which that was the hardest part because there would be days where they would eat the whole day from me or from a bottle when I wasn't there. And then the next day the nurse would be like, oh, they did really good.
It's the saying of they'll do 1 step forward and like
a million steps back.
I mean, that's just 1 step forward, 2 step back. I mean, it
was just that every day, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh, the thing came up and then we come the next day and it's back down. Like, oh, she didn't hold her temperature. I mean, it was just always that. The thing that really affected both of us was when we came in one day. This is probably like day 12.
What I wanted to talk about. Go ahead.
Is we came in and Brinley had a IV in her head.
I don't think I think that was really close to them being born. I think we were still... I don't know. It doesn't matter the time, but we walked in.
It was freaky.
That was probably the only time you lost it. You actually started crying.
It was, I mean, dude, because you just think your head is your brain.
Yeah. And to walk in and see a needle in your daughter's head.
And all the bandages and tubes, and it's just not...
And now the nurse did, like, when she saw both of us start crying, she was like, I probably should have warned you that this was that this happened.
Yeah.
Their veins blow, so, like, they have to find different...
Or if they just get hard,
yeah,
like, they'll go like this on their hands, and if they start getting hard, they pull it and have to find a new vein.
So, she did say that, but that was the only time that Blake cried, I cried.
So... let me tell you this. So let's wrap this up. This is a super freaking long video.
Sorry.
The difference between men and women, and this is what our friends didn't understand, our family didn't understand, Natalie didn't understand, I didn't understand.
I mean, let's just say it. We fought a lot during this. Well,
because you were going with your emotions.
You had your.
I had my emotions, I guess.
Yeah, the way you were dealing with it.
But to get to our kids took, and we lived 15 minutes from the hospital.
Yeah.
Took about an hour to get parked, to walk, to go up the elevator, to get through one security door, to get through another security door, wash our hands, go through the NICU doors. It was a ton. It was just so draining.
It was. And we did it for 22 days.
22 days. And like I said, we weren't ready for these babies. We weren't ready. We still had time. And I was in the transition. We had finished the nursery. I was in the transition of moving my office downstairs, building the office, and then making our guest bedroom.
So that people could stay.
So people could stay if they wanted to or whatever. And I wasn't done. I don't even know if I had started, honestly.
I don't think you had started.
And so when they were in the NICU, that's what I was doing through the day. I would take Natalie in the morning. She would sit with them all day because they were literally sleeping. You couldn't. I mean, you could hold them at for an hour a day later, but like they were sitting there sleeping in their bed. That was it. There was no activity, nothing. So I'm like, I'm doing this before the babies get home, and
which, looking back, I totally understand now. But at the time, I was like, why do you not want to be with your kids?
Yeah,
I didn't understand.
And so the nurse told her. Like,
she did. She finally
she's like, you know, that's a man's way of nesting, right?
She sat with me and she was like, this is your husband's way of dealing with it. He can't do anything here. Right. Like, you're breastfeeding, you can do that here. He can't. So, like, he is doing his thing at home. You're doing your thing here. And that's... And
so, once again, the emotions get into it. But, like, I guess that's just the way a man's wired. I literally don't know. Like, I felt just like I just did it. I had no rhyme or reason. I'm like, I have to get this done. This is what I feel like I have to do. And so that's what I did for the 20 days. You know, I was there sometimes, but you know, it's just that's what we did. That's what I did to get through it, and that's what I felt like was the most value I could bring to the family, was to do that. Like,
this is a long video, but like, I just have so much like passion, not passion, that's a weird way to say it, but like for trying to like get people to understand, because it's something you don't understand until you're there. Like, even our families are like, oh, we understand. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you understand, we felt but it's something that like you don't get unless
imprisoned to that hospital.
Yeah, it's something you don't get unless you are in that situation.
Which is a hard word to say, but I felt like a slave to that hospital. Yeah. We ate there, we slept there, and we were just we were ran down, dude. Like, after 15 days, after 20 days, we were exhausted. Yeah. Dude, like, it was not, dude, trust me, it's hard. This December, we're gonna go up there. Somebody had gave like gift cards and donated.
We got one of the families that was there in the previous Christmas came and gave everybody gift cards. So we're gonna do that
and like
this year.
Little onesies and stuff.
Yeah, they gave onesies, gift cards, and then they gave the parents. Nah, I don't know. It doesn't. It was really.
It was nice. Cool, and it was just. So it was like, dude, this year. I don't know. It's a hard thing. Like, to be in a hospital that long. Like,
that's what I was trying to say, though, is I could go on forever about this because I have so much, like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
you have
I want people to understand, like, and if you are in the situation, like, I want you, because I was alone. Like, I felt so alone during those 22 days because I was the only person who... You
felt like, why, like, poor me. Like, it was like, why has this happened to me?
Which I don't typically do that, but in those 22 days, that's how I felt. So, like, I want, if anybody's in that situation, like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I want to, like, help through that situation.
Yeah. Dude, it's so weird to be able to say this, but, like, just relax and, like, just go to the hospital and, like, I don't want to say, like, make the best of it, but, like, it's just something that happens. Like, it's the best thing for your kids.
Say the funniest, not the funniest, but the funniest part of the whole NICU journey was one day Blake and I had gotten home. I was bawling. It was a bad day with the kids. It was just a bad day. I was bawling, and Blake was like, "Hey Google, how many babies go to the NICU?"
I'm like, Natalie, it happens to more people than you think.
Yeah. He was like, it's probably like at least 65, 75%. He was like, hey Google, what percent of babies go to the NICU? And Google was like, 0.1% of babies go to the NICU. And I was like, ah.
Oh, dude, I'm like, this, finally some facts will support me. And it did not. Just don't be trying to pull up facts if you don't know.
Yeah, no. But anyways, okay, we have to wrap this up. But seriously, if you are in the NICU right now, if you know you're gonna have your babies early, anything along those lines, like reach out, because we were there and we know all about it. We were lucky.
Is 22 days a long time in the NICU?
I mean, yeah, it's...
Or like, I know there's some people that are in there like a month, but I think it's like almost like a mid-range of what people are in there.
Yeah.
Some babies only have to go for like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
And that, oh my gosh, that was another hard thing, is like when you saw a baby there and then the baby was gone and you're like, why are my babies still here?
Yeah.
There was just weeks that would go by and nothing improved.
Yep.
And you just feel like you're never gonna leave.
Like it's never in.
Okay, last thing. The day we were leaving, we had to spend the night in a room there at the hospital to make sure we could all do it. The next day, they get all their tests again.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah.
Braxton doesn't get to leave.
Oh, Braxton had blood in his stools.
Yeah.
Hey, I used the word stools. I'm trying to be nice here. Okay. But yeah, and they're like, yeah, I don't know if he's gonna leave.
Not getting to leave.
And like
I flipped. I was like, nope, he's coming home. My nana's was a NICU nurse for 25 years. Like, she knows what's going on. He's coming home. He's fine.
That's the thing. It's like, it's my kid.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't care.
It ended up being fine. It was, I don't even know what was wrong, honestly. The doctor came, this was the nurses that told us he wasn't coming home, and then the doctor came in and he was like, he's fine. Like, I don't know why you got them all riled up.
All right, we're ending this video.
Yeah, they're up.
All right, peace out, guys.
Bye.
Enjoy the NICU. It's not fun at all, but
seriously, reach out.
Looking back, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Bye.
All right, peace out.